Hello and welcome to this pre-recorded event for delivering Pearson's new AS and A-Level Economics A specifications from 2015. In this session we will explore the structure, content and assessment of the new qualifications, the support available to guide you through the changes, possible teaching and delivery strategies, including co-teaching AS and A-Level. To help you get the most out of this session, you may want to have the following documents handy, as we will refer to them during the session. A-Level Economics A Specification, AS Economics A Sample Assessment Materials, A-Level Economics A Sample Assessment Materials, Getting Started Guide. All of these documents can be downloaded from the Economics subject page. To start, here's an overview of the new specification. The new specification is structured into 4 themes. These themes are designed to enable students to build on their knowledge and understanding as they progress through the course. As well as supporting students through the course of study, they also become a useful revision tool and preparation for linear exams, as students are revisiting and building on prior knowledge. The first 2 themes are the same in the AS and A-Level to support co-teaching these qualifications. We'll focus on what co-teachability means for you and your students later on. The content demonstrates how economic events can be interpreted in different ways, and how they impact on more recent economic events. The inclusion of references to economic thinkers supports the understanding that there are different perspectives in economics, with different ways of approaching economic issues. References to current economic policies and issues, and the requirement to develop an awareness of recent events, are outlined in the specification. The specifications select aspects of economic history to inform macroeconomic debate and provide context to economic issues. Building on a popular aspect in our current specification, the new course has a global focus in Theme 4. This theme focuses on macroeconomics in the global context, with particular reference to emerging and developing economies. This demonstrates how economic concepts and theories can be applied in different and real-world contexts. The global emphasis is an engaging topic for students and has plenty of opportunities for bringing in up-to-date and exciting contexts. All of our assessments continue to be based on real data and real issues. This helps provide stimulating assessment materials to cover a wide range of economic issues for students to engage with. Our research with universities told us that skills for progression were an essential part of A-Level, and they advised us to focus on transferable skills development, namely extended writing, quantitative skills, and independent research and reading, which are seen as vital for university preparation. Here are the 4 themes. Theme 1 introduces students to markets and market failure, while Theme 2 focuses on performance and policy measures in the UK economy. As such, Theme 1 has a broadly microeconomic focus, and Theme 2 has a broadly macroeconomic focus. These themes have the same content in both the AS and A-Level qualification. Theme 3 builds on the content in Theme 1, exploring business behaviour and the labour market. Theme 4 has a global focus and builds on Theme 2 content. Here's a summary of the AS course. There are 2 externally examined papers for the AS qualification. Theme 1 is assessed in Paper 1, and Theme 2 is assessed in Paper 2. The content for Theme 1 and Theme 2 is the same for the AS and A-level qualifications. This means that even though the AS and A-level qualifications are separate, you can co-teach them. More on this later. Here is a summary of the A-level course. There are 3 externally examined papers for the A-level qualification. Theme 1 and Theme 3 are assessed in Paper 1. Theme 2 and Theme 4 are assessed in Paper 2. And Paper 3 assesses content from across the entire course, bringing all the concepts together. Paper 3 can be viewed as the synoptic paper. A new requirement for all new economics AS and A levels is quantitative skills. All awarding organizations will assess these quantitative skills in their new courses. The assessment of these skills will include at least Level 2, GCSE A* to C, mathematical skills, and will account for a minimum of 20% of the total marks in the A level, and 15% of the total marks in the AS level. Students will already be familiar with most of these skills through their study of GCSE maths, and it is important to demonstrate how these mathematical skills are relevant to economics. We'll look at how we have approached quantitative skills in our specification later on. Before we go through the new course in more detail, I'd like to introduce the range of support we have available. Our Getting Started guide provides an overview of the new AS and A-level specifications to help you get to grips with the changes to content and assessment, and to help you understand what these changes mean for you and your students. The guide includes suggested teaching and learning approaches for each theme in the specifications. Editable course planners can be adapted to fit your timetabling and staffing arrangements. There is a thematic course planner, which broadly follows the order in which content is set out in the specification, and is designed to support those planning to co-teach AS and A-level. The integrated course planner is a suggested approach for those intending not to co-teach the AS level qualification. Whether you're thinking of staying with or switching to Pearson Edexcel for the 2015 AS and A-level economics specifications, specification mapping documents are easy reference guides to help you identify key comparisons and differences between the 2008 and 2015 specifications. Suggested activities and teaching points are included in an editable scheme of work to support you in planning to teach the new course. Case studies and practice questions for some of the new specification topics, including economic thinkers, national happiness, and the financial sector, will support you in planning and delivering some of the new content areas. Our options evening materials will help you discuss the new AS and A-level economic specification with students and parents, and explore the different pathways and careers our qualification can provide. Exemplar student work and examiner commentaries will support you in understanding the standard. The student work has been generated by A-level leavers trialling the new assessments. Our specimen papers for A-level papers can be used as mocks when you're teaching the course. Make the most of our free Results Plus service for tracking your students' progress. Results Plus is a free online results analysis tool for teachers that gives you a detailed breakdown of your students' performance in Edexcel exams. Widely used by teachers across the country, Results Plus provides the most detailed analysis available of your students' performance and helps you to identify topics and skills where your students could benefit from further learning, helping them gain a deeper understanding of their subject. We are also launching our Exam Wizard service for A-Level Economics. Exam Wizard is a free online resource for teachers containing a bank of past paper questions and support materials to help you create your own mock exams and tests. Our national training program of events will continue to provide you with training solutions when you start teaching the new specification in 2015. Watch out for support with Themes 3 and 4, as well as training for mocks marking in 2016. And of course, our subject advisor for economics, Colin Leith, is always here to help. Colin's contact details will be displayed at the end of this session. This is the main AS and A-Level Economics subject page. All of the free support materials are available to download from the economics pages of our website. To find this page, go to Qualifications, A-Levels, Economics A. Choose the Specification tab to download copies of the specification and sample assessment materials, summary information about the reforms and introduction to the course. Scroll down to find contact information for Colin, links to our subject community, and subject pages. The Course Materials tab is the place to access all the documents. The Teaching Support tab gives you a clear overview of all the support we have available. The Training and Events tab provides a quick link to the training events we have on offer. We're also working with publishers on endorsed resources. However, it is not necessary to purchase endorsed resources to deliver our new qualification. Here is a summary of the publishers we're working with. If you would like to find out more about these resources, please visit the publishers' websites. Earlier we said that we have designed our AS and A-Level qualifications to be co-teachable. We're now going to look at co-teachability in more detail. First, here is a summary of the regulatory changes to AS and A-Level from 2015. AS and A-Levels have been decoupled, which means that the AS qualification will no longer count towards the A-Level grade. Students can still take AS assessments and progress to A-Level, but they will need to sit all 3 A-Level papers at the end of the course to achieve an A-Level grade. We've designed our specification to be co-teachable, so you can continue to offer your students an AS qualification and enable them to progress to the full A-Level. So if an AS grade no longer counts towards an A-Level grade, why offer AS? Some students may wish to supplement a 3 A-Level program of study with an additional AS in economics. This may be important to your students, as it will continue to provide them with breadth of study. Alternatively, some students might start 4 A-Levels, knowing they will drop down to 3 A-Levels in Year 2. In this scenario, they may wish to postpone their decision until they have taken 1 or more AS qualifications and seen the results. Students who unexpectedly leave the course after the first year will have an AS qualification. Starting with the AS content gives a focus for Year 12 study, and taking an AS qualification at the end of Year 12 could provide a useful way of tracking student progress at the end of the first year. If you plan to offer students the AS qualification, you might decide to co-teach AS and A-level. This means that AS and A-level students will be taught in the same class in Year 12. The skills students will learn in AS and A-level are the same. For example, the requirements within assess questions are consistent, and more complex theories are introduced in Theme 3 and Theme 4 to prepare students for the A-level assessments at the end of the course. Alternatively, you might decide to run separate AS and A-level classes. This would allow you to cover the themes and topics in whichever order you like. There is more information about co-teaching in our Getting Started guide, available on our website. We'll now look at the assessment model in more detail. This slide summarizes the weightings of each assessment objective in our AS and A-level assessments. AS and A-level assessments are set at a different level of demand, which is reflected in the weightings. We have a greater weighting on knowledge and understanding, A01, in AS, and a greater weighting on analysis and evaluation, A04, in the A-level. As we introduced earlier, there are 2 exam papers for AS. These 2 papers draw on content across the full AS course, with Paper 1 focusing more on microeconomics from Theme 1, and Paper 2 focusing more on macroeconomics from Theme 2. Each paper is structured in 2 sections, and Section B is based on stimulus material. The final question on each paper is an extended writing question, worth 20 marks. Students answer 1 essay question from a choice of 2. Let's look at the AS sample assessments in more detail. You'll see that AS Paper 1 and Paper 2 have a consistent structure. The papers have 2 sections. Section A comprises a mix of short answer questions. For example, multiple choice, define, calculate or illustrate, and explain. Section B questions are based on extracts and have calculate or explain, assess, discuss, and evaluate questions. The evaluate questions are marked out of 20, and students will answer 1 from a choice of 2 questions. A taxonomy for economics has been defined and will be applied consistently to ensure students are rewarded for demonstrating the appropriate skills for the subject. Careful consideration has been given to the taxonomies associated with particular question types, to ensure that assessment objectives are targeted consistently across questions. The variety of command words used has been reduced to provide clarity and consistency in the skills economic students are expected to display in the assessments. Skills-based mark schemes have been developed for extended open response questions, 10, 15, and 20 mark questions. These mark schemes provide a consistent understanding of the skills and connections between these skills for each question type, and relate directly to the taxonomies, command words, used in the papers. The bands within each mark scheme clearly show the progression of these skills, from the lower bands to the higher bands. Focusing on the skills students are required to demonstrate within each command word ensures that wording is clear, reduces reliance on subjective statements such as sum analysis, and reflects how teachers and examiners describe the qualities of student work, meaning the expectations are clear for teachers and for markers. There is a skills-based mark scheme for each of the command words, and these will be applied consistently. This slide summarizes the A-level assessment model. There are 3 exam papers for A-level. Paper 1 assesses content from Theme 1 and Theme 3. Paper 2 assesses content from Theme 2 and Theme 4. And Paper 3 brings content together from across the A-level course. The same principles apply for A-level as they do for AS. You'll see that Paper 1 and Paper 2 have a consistent structure. For A-level, the papers have 3 sections. Section A comprises short answer questions, such as multiple choice, calculate, illustrate, and explain. Section B is based on extracts. Section C comprises an essay question. Students choose 1 essay from 2. As we mentioned previously, a taxonomy for economics has been defined and will be applied consistently to ensure students are rewarded for demonstrating the appropriate skills for the subject. The taxonomy has been applied across AS and A-level. You'll see that A-level has 8-mark examine and 12-mark and 15-mark discuss questions. A-level Paper 3 has a slightly different structure. As we mentioned, this paper assesses across the entire course of study, and there are no short answer questions. The paper has 2 sections, which have a consistent structure and use of taxonomy. Both sections include unseen stimulus material, and students choose 1 essay from 2. We introduced the new quantitative skills requirements earlier. Now we're going to focus more on how the quantitative skills have been addressed in our specification. Where appropriate, the quantitative skills have been included within the specified content in each theme of the specification. Have a look at page 91 of the Getting Started guide for a table which captures the direct references to the quantitative skills within the specification content and makes suggestions of where these skills may be further developed through application to wider economic contexts. These examples are not exhaustive, and there are opportunities for students to develop these skills throughout the specification content. Students should be encouraged to practice and apply these skills throughout each theme. The skills can also be developed through the use of stimulus material and case studies, providing opportunities for students to apply a range of quantitative skills to analyze real economic scenarios. This stimulus material should take the form of both qualitative and quantitative information. We've approached the assessment of quantitative skills in 2 main ways. 1, as standalone calculate or illustrate questions, and 2, within extended questions. You can see some examples of these approaches in our sample assessments. To see an illustrate question, open the AS sample assessment materials and see Paper 1, Question 2C on page 9. See page 26 for the mark scheme. To see a Calculate question, open the AS Sample Assessment Materials and see Paper 2, Question 2B on page 45. See page 62 for the mark scheme and/or the A-Level Sample Assessment Materials, and see Paper 1, Question 2A on page 8. See page 30 for the mark scheme. To see an example of quantitative skills being assessed within an extended answer question, open the A-Level Sample Assessment Materials and see Paper 1, Question 6C on page 20. See pages 36 to 38 for the mark scheme. In this last example, there are 4 marks, 4 out of 12, allocated to QS4. Construct and interpret a range of standard graphical forms, and indicative content for the quantitative skills are included. In each series, at least 15% of the overall AS marks and 20% of the overall A-level marks will be accounted for by the assessment of these skills. We're almost at the end of the session now, but there are a couple more things I'd like to tell you about before you go. We're recruiting examiners for our new specification. If you would like to know more, please visit our website. If you like what you see and want to know more, please register your interest. This will help us to keep you informed about future events and other support available to you. Register your interest on our website. Please get in touch with Colin and his team if you need any further help or support. Colin and our online economics community will ensure you receive help and guidance from us, as well as sharing ideas and information with each other. You can sign up to receive e-newsletters from Colin to keep up to date with qualification updates and product and service news. Thank you for listening to our event today.